Perfect. Looks like we're set to go now, Bob. Awesome. Well, welcome everyone. We're here today to talk about innovating customer engagement, and I'm really excited to be joining our partners at Zappix to just really work through trends, AI solutions, and the human connection. My name is Mike Malone. I'm the VP of Customer Success for Vee24. Vee24 is a online engagement platform that utilizes video, chat, AI, WhatsApp to make sure that our customers are able to speak to their customers when and where they want to engage and really bring that in-person experience online. Bob, I'll kick it over to you to introduce yourself and Zappix.
Great. Thanks, Mike. So I head up partnerships and business development at Zappix. We do customer engagement. We have a platform that allows businesses to create different ways to engage with the customers autonomously and help autonomize the self-service processes as well. So we work with all different partners in the industry, in the CCaaS place, as we help supplement those solutions. So we work with companies like Vee24 with our solutions that we help bring to the businesses to optimize their operations and how they engage with customers.
Awesome. Thanks, Bob. What we're here to talk about today, as I mentioned briefly, really want to, and Bob's going to dive into the evolution of contact centers and trends that we're seeing, where they came from, where they are today, and where they're going. I'm going to take it from there and really look at the surge in the usage of AI in companies' CX and PX approach, and just how we can look at that and make sure we're still balancing that human connection. And then close it out with looking at, the rise of self-service and what position that plays and how companies are serving up this experience. So, Bob, I'll kick it to you to talk through the outdated contact center.
Yeah, so not necessarily a positive type of subject. And we're not trying to say that contact centers, at most businesses are outdated per se, but obviously, with the pace of innovation and Gen AI and automation that's happening, things are outdated, right? And I think most businesses appreciate that. Now, they obviously know that they can't flick a switch and overnight, have the latest and greatest operation. So, what happens is our clients, our prospects that come to us that tell us about situations that they have. They have poor outcomes with their customers or CX. And when we look at and we break it down as to why, it really is the contact center is not set up for how the 2024 type of customer is and how they've come off of, the COVID, pandemic really changed the way customers and businesses work together, right? It advanced in many ways. It brought us backwards in some ways. But when we look at the contact center today and what most of our clients showcase us is they have a lot of tools. They've rolled out tools to address situations with customers, how they engage with customers on a one-off, one-by-one basis. So what we've seen is we have a lot of fragmented tools. We have the IVR systems, we have CCaaS platforms, we have interaction through email and SMS and WhatsApp, and then social networks, right? Starting to realize that customers are living in the social networks now. How do we address engaging with them there? And we have great chatbots, but again, a lot of these tools are all fragmented. Okay, and what a result is still today, the customers are irritated when they can't get to a live voice agent right away. Well, why is that? It's not that they need to speak to a live agent right away. They're still just challenged with the tools that may not be the right tools for their situation, right? So that's really kind of from a technology perspective. We have launched a lot of great tools for our clients, but they're fragmented, right? And what happens is they're not integrated. They're predefined for specific situations, right? The tool is built for a specific thing, not across the board, not for that customer journey per se that does a lot of different pieces there, depersonalized, doesn't really present data well visually, and incomplete journey, as I mentioned. So, and this results in a lot of churn. So customers now, because they have an issue or they have an item that with the business that they need, they're not able to satisfy that inquiry that they have. And now you have high churn because of that, right? So, and it ties back to how the contact center, how the operation is working. And, that's, again, the inability to self-serve, right? And it gives poor, response, inconsistent support, right? Poor data, right? That's just not useful for the customer or for the business. When agents do get on, they're starting the support process over again, right? Versus the customer already entered some information in the IVR, they already entered some information in the chatbot, but then when they eventually do get to a live voice agent, they're starting over again, right? So these are really, poor, CX impacts, right? So that's kind of the outdated contact center. Again, businesses have launched a lot of great tools. They're just fragmented. And the result of that is we're not supporting how the customer really is and needs in 2024. So as we can see, the trends on the left, customer experience, CX, that's been the term for 5, even plus years of how we're going at, what we're doing in the contact center. But those trends are outdated now with all Gen AI and additional autonomous processes and tools that we have. But on the left, you can see still great words, great terms, great functions, great aspects that we're doing, right? Omni-channel, right? That's been the big term for 10 plus years, right? And in omni-channel, it's a little still designed for that channel. They're thinking, oh, the customer is in the social channel. They're in the chat channel. They're on the web page. They're on the IVR. Let's define a process and support model for that channel. It's not been very well across the journey. We haven't really thought about the customer. Why are they in that channel at that moment in time? And what do they need, right? So as we advance into the trends that now businesses that are coming to us, they're saying, we don't really want to necessarily focus on just building on omni-channel pieces. We want to start with the journey. And that's why our clients really focus on that journey first. And then we can see what the right tools are, which partners in the ecosystem deliver the right thing, and then how do we integrate that together so that the tools, the business, the operation are all integrated to support that journey across the board, not just single in individual omnichannels. Our clients are also mentioning how they used to see the contact center as more of a cost center, right? Now it's more, they're thinking about, hey, how can we flip that around because with all the new tools, because we're going to improve that engagement with the customer, how can we turn the contact center into more of a rev gen type of model as well? And this will get the business and the operation, the agents to think differently, again, how to support the customer better. If the customer's happy, that's going to also give revenue opportunities. So that's kind of a new trend that we're really hearing with our clients, to think a little bit differently there. In the past, it's been more functional self-service. You think about the self-service function that the customer needed. Let's build out a model and a tool that can support that. Well, that's more, again, siloed, right? Now about what's really the outcome that is needed. What does the business need for that outcome, for that customer engagement? What does the customer need for that outcome? And then we work it backwards. And that way you can see, well, there's different tools that might be needed. Maybe in an outcome-based design, you realize that they might need to be in the IVR at one point. They may need to get into a visual IVR and a visual engagement because it's too much data to be done through an auditable engagement. Maybe they still have questions for the agent, but it doesn't need to be a live voice agent. They don't need to transfer the call to the agent. Maybe it can be a chat during that self-service. So that outcome-based and then building it back really helps, again, support that customer journey overall. And that's what we're seeing now when our clients are really focused on outcome-based. And this really ties back to, I didn't mention at the beginning, but two kind of columns that you're seeing in trends: personalized experience versus customer experience, right? Personalized is really adapting to what the customer is, and all customers are different, versus the customer experience is a little bit more siloed. And then just as important is the data. So obviously we have lots of different data models and things like that. On the left, you can see we have more diagnostic data that's a little bit inert, that's more reactive, get a report, then react afterwards, versus taking trusted data that can be prescriptive and can help clear paths to get to that final journey, right? And that prescriptive data is what our clients are asking us. How do we define that? How do we get to that prescriptive data? And then that can help feed the LLMs for the Gen AI tools that we have. So that's kind of the right that we have. And as we lead into, kind of the big topic that we're kind of talking about today, and I'll lead into Mike, is the trend in the past is kind of predefined support, very similar to what I've been saying about, but now into the new tools of Gen AI and the chatbots and generative chatbots, right, that are more adaptive, that can be more inserted, more autonomous, right? That's where kind of our clients now want us to help them. Where do they put that in the overall customer journey, in the overall operation, and the topology? So that's kind of the trends that we've been getting for our clients. And our clients don't just come to us and say, oh, Zappix, we need you to do everything, because we don't. That's why we work well in the partner ecosystem with a lot of different vendors, a lot of different products. And that's where Vee24 and we're also working together on some of these kind of things. So Mike, maybe I think it's a good time to transition over to what you were talking about from the Gen AI perspective.
Yeah, perfect. Bob, if I'm a contact center leader and I see the ability to turn my contact center into a rev generation machine, that's pretty powerful. So thanks for walking through that.
Yeah.
So a little bit about what we're seeing within contact centers and just across our customer base is the last couple of years, everywhere you go, conferences, events, it's AI, right? Folks are throwing it in their company name, in their rebranded everything. And folks, don't get me wrong, it's very, very powerful. But what we want to talk through today is where it can be best be used, right? And why it has disrupted the status quo, right? If we look at the why behind it, I think we can pull out some really powerful elements here. So if we look at why brands are choosing AI over humans, capacity planning, right? If I'm a team leader and I have a certain amount of resources that I can utilize, the ability to throw a bot into my customer experience strategy and have that be a first line of defense is pretty powerful, because guess what? That bot is going to work 24/7, 365. It's not going to France to watch the Olympics, taking a few weeks off, right? Like, it's there and it's taking care of your customers. If I was going to use air quotes, I would say taking care of, right? Because that's where we can run into some challenges in terms of when folks engage in a potentially negative way with an AI chatbot. But really it's a great way to say, I know something is going to be on. If someone comes to my site, there is a first line of defense for someone to engage with, right? So I think that's pretty powerful. It also can handle a lot of questions with training and setup. I think that's the key in terms of when you hear AI, really take it with a grain of salt to understand there's a lot of upfront kind of development and journey development that you have to do to make sure it understands what pathways and what questions to look at. So yes, it is utilizing technology and AI, but there really is, what you're doing as a team and what you're putting into it is what you're going to get out of it. So just making sure that is really set up. And the nice part is, one of the data points here is almost 3/4 of all customers are comfortable using an AI chatbot to do a routine journey like checking the order status, right? If I go to a page, that's something that most companies have now, and it's not something that I would be put off by, right? Because it is in a lot of places. And so that's a positive thing, right? In terms of almost 3/4 of customers are comfortable using that. The big but here is almost half of folks say this engagement with an AI bot leaves them missing the human connection, right? And I think most importantly, as we look at the data aspect that Bob just talked about, as companies roll out these AI approaches, 40% don't even trust their own data in terms of when they roll it out, they don't necessarily understand, is it working, is it not working? So you can't just add an AI element without understanding and having the data to look at, is it being successful? I think funny enough, a lot of companies sometimes miss the point of actually asking their customers what they want, understanding what they want in each aspect of the journey, utilizing tools that can get that real-time feedback to say, hey, is an AI chatbot something that you as a customer are okay using? Do you have any other ideas? And so just being able to bring the human element back into this and even ask some of your customers that question in terms of where do they want to be serviced and how they want to be serviced. As we look at this, right, I want to share a little story about the tale of the unhappy ending, right? It sounds like not the best the nursery book to read, but it's looking at, if I go to a site and I ask a basic question, where's my order? The bot can say, hey, let me help you with that. All of a sudden you're going to get, I don't understand the question, right? And so you have to maybe rephrase it. I'm sorry, I don't understand the question. Here's a support article that might not even hit the note. That's not helpful. Can I talk to someone? I'm sorry, no one's available. How can I help you today? Chances are, for the folks who are on this call, you've probably experienced something like that. It's kind of this infinite loop of back and forth with this bot that I know is not a human and is not giving me the answer that I need. And we really want to avoid the unhappy endings, right? Our goal as we look at, CX and PX is to make sure that when someone comes through and they have an engagement, whether it be an AI or a human, they're getting to where they need to be. And I think that's a really cool piece. So is AI helpful and can it play a very important role in your customer engagement strategy? Absolutely, 100%. But should it be the end all be all of your customer engagement strategy? Should you throw it out there and not monitor and see what's happening? That's where the no comes into play. And it's really just making sure we're keeping an eye on that and using these two things in conjunction with one another. Which really brings us to, if some of you have heard of the book Humology, I know Zappix and Bob's team have referenced this in the past. It really talks about this interesting concept of the intersection of humanity and technology. And I think the understanding coming out of that is humans will always be needed in this customer service space. And so they dig into this idea of, with the rise of AI, a lot of companies have gone full bore into that technology aspect, which is great. But then they forget sometimes about the human element and what their customers are actually looking for. And a lot of this comes back to, I talked about earlier, the capacity challenge. If budgets are cut and you don't have the amount of people, sometimes technology is the easy answer, but it's answering the question, is it the right answer, right? And so making sure that if we are looking at how can we best plan out a strategy, where do the humans play and where does technology play? And I want to share a story about how some of our customers are utilizing this balance, okay? And so as we look at, again, setting up an online storefront for someone to be able to come and interact. During open hours, just like a store would have, they have agents available for live engagement. Someone can come in via video, send a WhatsApp message, or even set up an appointment to meet with that person. That's fantastic. That's open hours. You've got the staff. They're taking care of it. Now we move to off hours, right? If it's midnight Central Standard Time, right, and you've got no one on, this is where AI can be a great first line of defense. Can answer those basic journey questions. But if it's not getting where it needs to go, or even serving up the option for someone to book an appointment with a human the next day, or even fill out a callback form to understand, cool, I want someone to reach back out to me. This is the question that I have. And so it's saying, awesome, we're going to put technology in a place where we don't have the resources to staff. But even in that technology AI flow, we're going to have the ability for that person to still get that human touch. Now, it is in a reactive manner, right? You are asking them to schedule an appointment or fill out a callback form. But in a lot of ways, that helps combine the human aspect and the technology aspect and allows customers to choose, where do I want to be communicated with? When do I want to be communicated with? And again, make sure we're avoiding those unhappy endings. So as we look at live engagement specifically and digging into a little bit about what Vee24, what we specialize in, you'll see this video. These are our friends at the Watches of Switzerland group. They utilize our video solution to help showcase, in some cases, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 watches to their customers. So these are high value touches that each of these people are having with their customers. But they're doing so in an experience where that customer feels like, hey, it's very similar to if I were to walk into a store. But maybe I'm not able to. Maybe I'm on vacation. Something's going on. And so this team utilizes this element of, hey, I'm going to reach this person where they are at home, somewhere else, not in one of our stores, but I'm going to offer up that personalized sales experience. What they're actually seeing is a lot of folks are coming back. So these online sales specialists are now seeing people coming back and they want to have those repeat engagements with these folks, especially in a high value dollar item like a watch, like makeup. You develop trust with someone and you want to have that continued conversation. And so that's what live engagements allow for folks to be able to do, is how are we making sure that there's this ability for me to still have this human connection, see someone's face, they can walk me through this watch purchase or this makeup or furniture purchase, and take care of that. But again, removing the ability to have someone come into a store. And I think that's really key. What it leads towards is just an enhanced shopping experience. If I'm going to a site and I want to make a purchase, if I'm that company, I want to make it as easy as possible and as friendly as possible, and hopefully as enjoyable as possible to do that. If I'm going to put my hard-earned dollars towards something, I want to make sure that I'm feeling that experience. And so I think that's a key piece here in terms of what are you doing to look at making sure that CX strategy, that PX strategy is bringing joy. Maybe that's a word not many folks would utilize, but into the online shopping experience. And I think lastly, it really gives that white glove concierge personal shopping experience. Some of our customers even rebrand the tool to say, hey, this is your personal shopper. They're available for you. They can give tutorials and walk you through this experience. And so I think that's really key when you look at that. If you have customers that are asking for something like that, or if they go into a store and they're like, I'd like to go home and maybe talk to my spouse and maybe complete this purchase, give them a way to when they get home, queue up a video engagement to be able to finish that sales experience. And that's what some of these things can do, is to utilize technology and that human element to really take it to the next level. Now, Bob and I have been saying a few things. I don't want you to just take it from us in terms of, right, we work for these companies, but wanted to just really walk through a few different things that we're hearing from our customers in terms of, if you're interested in increasing your AOV, but also reducing friction using technology. These are two really cool proof points. And I want to walk through these just to help get the point across. One of our partners based in Australia, actually, so Tuis Blinds to Go, they've been live with us a little over a year. And when we were able to talk to Matt, actually in one of our last webinars, it was really powerful because he walked through the fact that initially, before starting V24, their average order value was around $750. Not bad. Blinds can be a premium purchase. But when they added the ability to have video chat with their team to be able to engage with someone utilizing video, it increased 164% to almost $2,000 per order. That's a big jump, right? I'm not sitting here saying everyone's going to see a $2,000 increase, but what I am saying is that shows the power of when you introduce video into something like a highly specialized purchase experience like that, where you want to maybe show someone a window or show different product. This is what can happen. And Matt at Tuis, they're a great partner of ours and seen great success. On the other side of that is Eastern Bank, one of our customers on the East Coast. We partnered with them to launch a smart chatbot to really help enhance their online banking experience. So again, they saw the need to say, we want to make sure we're offering up this experience to our customers, making sure we're reaching them throughout all the hours. And what they saw is two really cool proof points. So there's a 33% reduction in time resolution. So when someone came to them, we were able to reduce the amount of time it took for their problem to be solved by a third. That's awesome. And this bot actually contributed towards about 35% of online appointments scheduled. So they used that chatbot to say, hey, if you're interested in meeting with someone, this bot can help set up an appointment to talk to a human. And 35% of their appointments booked came from the chatbot experience. So those are two really powerful, proof is in the pudding statements. We really just wanted to highlight, what we're talking through here. Folks have really seen value. And I think as you look at how you can bring this to the next level, this is a way to do it. Absolutely. So I think I'm going to kick it over to you, Bob, to talk through just the rise in the autonomous self-service. And we'll keep going here and hopefully get to some questions at the end as well.
Yeah, and Mike, it just shows those are great proof points that show how implementing the right tools into the overall journey for those customers delivers results, right? And that's what we're trying to achieve. And that's what I mentioned earlier about the outcomes, right? And as you see the stat here that we have, where 55% of customers would use a product or service less if they can't use self-service. Even though the stat before said 88% were frustrated when they couldn't get right to an agent. Well, but it tells you that they would prefer to use self-service, right? But when they can, it doesn't work, it doesn't deliver what they want, then they need to talk to a live voice agent right away, right? So what we want to do is the rise of autonomous self-service. And what that means is it's incorporating self-service to achieve those outcomes, but be integrated across all the tools and to give the customer what they want when they need it, right? Whether they even know what they need, right? And it's about proactively thinking, right? So that's really what we're trying to achieve here is give the customers the self-service that they need, that will deliver the right information, the right content, the right call to action, et cetera, at the different places in the journey. And it might be different tools. It might be a video interaction with an agent that can display and give that content. It might be a visual application, visual IVR, that can give that content at the right time. Or it might just be getting into the IVR where to start to identify some of the things they need, but again, that whole journey, right? And that's what we're talking about when we say autonomous self-service, about the overall flow of self-service and giving that customer what they need. And just to lead into the next slide, Mike, So when we think of intelligent self-service, building off of the autonomous type of mindset is really incorporating the homology, and that's what Mike had mentioned, that we use homology all the time. How do we incorporate technology and the human elements, create that generative type of support, utilizing the great advances that we have right now to create this overall intelligent self-service. And self-service, again, isn't just about giving them a single tool, a single application that just serves them and then they're done. It's about giving them all the different tools at the right points in the journey, right? And as I mentioned before, that could include kind of like a virtual IVR type of engagement. Sometimes it's a dialing into an IVR, some type of a starting point that can then open up and take them along their journey, right? And giving that more prescriptive support depending on the situation, depending on what the journey is, not just reactionary, not just, I got to pay. It's a bill pay function, right? We just give them step 1, 2, 3. Well, maybe there's more to the bill pay. What's the outcomes that we need with the bill pay, and how we give that more prescriptive support on the situation? If they're driving, they're not going to be able to give their credit card information, right? So we have to adapt to that, right? So it's really kind of giving prescriptive support to the situation in the journey, right? But more importantly, obviously, we have to automate the overall journey as much as possible. We incorporate frameworks that will foster collaboration between the tools, right? We need that, but also foster collaboration across the organization, right? So that the business, the support teams, the IT teams are all adapting, working together to help build these support tools and support flows. So that can lead to a good automation by journey, and then we really achieve the goal and outcome based, right? So that's really what we're trying to achieve with this intelligent self-service and all the different components that require to deliver that. And then, building on what Vee24 has, kind of that almost on-demand type of agent intervention, right? When is the right time to put a chatbot in front of the customer? When is the right time to maybe initiate a video engagement where they can see the agent, right? Or a voice or whatnot, right? So making that on-demand, but again, making it contextual, making it prescriptive, putting it in the right journey. And when we see that, when we apply that, building on even the results that Mike had just said with his clients, we see great numbers, above 35% call deflection, 80% call containment when you give the customer the self-service that they need, and really reducing those handling times. And this is when we're really seeing when we're applying the Gen AI tools across the board and making them integrated. These are really exceptional numbers that we're seeing, even higher than kind of more of the CX type of based products, right? So that's kind of an intelligent type of self-service and how we apply to that. So I think we've kind of put together a little demo that utilizes Vee24 and Zappix, but really what we can do is speak to it to show, how do we get kind of the, AI kind of some components into a typical flow. And we're not boiling the ocean here with what we're showing, but we're showing how we use different tools. We use the IVR, we use visual IVR, we use intelligent agent, right, to help a customer achieve what they need to do without having to pivot out of one channel into the next.
Perfect. So what you're about to see, it's about a 2-minute demo. You'll see it on the screen here. Bob and I will kind of voice over as it goes through, just kind of calling out key points. But as he mentioned, just kind of definitely look at how you can combine even Zappix and Vee24 together to make sure that your customer is getting a positive experience. So here we go.
And in this scenario that you see, this first use case is where a customer is calling in to a typical IVR. We still need IVRs. We still need inbound because that's what customers want. And they're trying to kick off a returns process without an agent. They're dialing into the IVR system.
We need some elevator music with this, Bob.
Yeah, so the IVR is now answering. It's kind of identified who the caller is, right? Because we have all these great tools. We identify who they are, what they need, and then we push the right content to them. So in this scenario, they're looking for an order status, right? Over audibly, we could push the order status, say, hey, your order's been shipped and it's going to be there tomorrow, but there's more details to that. So it's too overload to be pushed through the audible. So we push them a visual interaction so they can see it and they can digest and they can react and pause, and they can then react to it and say, okay, this is all the information, everything I need, I'm done. Then we can push different visual cues to them, like it's a survey, promotions, things like that. But this is kind of an inbound kind of flow. Another flow is, okay, we're trying to push self-service, give them what they need, or they still have a question that the self-service isn't able to achieve. So here we've identified that they have an issue with a product and they need to initiate a return. So we've pushed to say, which one we pulled your order, which one do you need? So they're now, triggering the return process, but now they're confused in that return process. So they have a question for an agent. Instead of just opting out and saying, okay, connect me to a live agent in the IVR, we kick off a chat engagement with an agent who can answer their question while they're still in the self-service flow. And then, as you can see, the agent saw what the customer was doing, saw that they were in the returns process, saw they were stuck at a certain step, and asked them, was this the issue? And they said yes. And now the agent say, oh, okay, in order to complete this, you need to select X, right? And now the customer can easily pivot right back to the self-service tool, as you'll see. This is them completing their chat session. They go right back to the returns process, select the item that they were confused on, complete it. They've now completed the flow using self-service, everything they needed to do. And now that this journey and this outcome was achieved successfully, the customer's happy. Typically what we see when we build siloed support models is if they get stuck in one support model, they just stop. They then say, hey, I need to talk to a live agent because it's not working for me. That's that whole frustration. But when we integrate and we incorporate kind of an autonomous and a generative AI type of generative support model, we can predict and prescribe to what they need. And that's what we achieved here in our demo.
Awesome. Thanks, Bob. And I think a lot of you folks on the call, I'm assuming you've had customers drop off in that moment where all of a sudden I don't see the option that I think that I need to choose. I might feel stuck. I'm just talking to an automated bot. They might drop out in that phase and lead to a poor customer experience. But in this case, you're able to interject a live agent. Boom, here's instant help. I can still complete what I need to complete. And it's the difference between that 1-star to 5-star CSAT experience of what is someone going to experience with your company and are they going to have that happy ending? So that really is the walkthrough for today. So hopefully gave you a few proof points from customers, looking at even a live demo and just talking through, at this intersection of AI and this human experience, how can you utilize both together in a really powerful and positive way within the contact center and across many other industries. Leading up to this, we did kind of put out a poll and we wanted to see what folks were most interested in when it came to this experience and even see if there was some questions that came out of it. Almost 70% of you said, that balance of human and AI is a top priority for the rest of 2024, which is fantastic. Hopefully we got a few things out of this. And that led to a few questions. So wanted to dive into this and maybe even start by asking you, Bob, in terms of when you're working with your customers, what are some of the biggest challenges that they're seeing when they're balancing those AI innovations, but maintaining a personal touch in customer service?
Two components to this is one, when we get different stakeholders from our clients that reach out to us to talk about, how can we implement what Gen AI options are there and how do we implement, and you get the business side and you get the operational side and they have kind of two different mindsets. How do we, a big challenge is when they're not coming together and discussing it together, you end up again with these kind of siloed mentality and it removes, a lot of times what happens, you remove some of that human component into it. You miss out on what the agents, because the agent's like, wait a minute, in this support process, we can't just replace it with a generative AI, completely autonomous. We're always involved in this X step, right? So some things get missed. So really a big challenge is ensuring that when they map out this type of new support model and way to go at it is, building, as I mentioned earlier, the framework across their operation to really define, how to roll out the Gen AI and utilize it where at the right points. The other big piece is about data privacy. And this goes just to customers that are just still concerned. This is going to take a while for their trust. And when they know that it's an autonomous type of support model that's listening to them, taking their inputs, do they feel that that's just going out into the world and is there a risk to their data, right? So that's going to be a big concern that most of our clients are saying, how do we address that and incorporate that? And that then feeds into, okay, once we figure these things out from a design perspective, how do we do that across our systems and make sure it's secure? How do we make sure the systems are adaptive and siloing tech again, as we said, where we've kind of been in the past, and how we're not siloing humans. So those are really kind of 4 big points.
Yeah, awesome. One additional layer I'll add to that is we're actually seeing from the customer side, the using too much technology can lead towards maybe not being able to fulfill every request that comes in. And this is really highlighting whether someone's going to come into your storefront or visit online. We have a customer who, when they're doing online engagements, they need to essentially verify someone is who they say they are. So there's not a swatting attempt or a spoof attempt to be able to complete a potential transaction. If they're not able to verify, that really limits the percentage of these calls or engagements coming in that they can handle. So we're actually utilizing an OTP system via Vee24 where they're able to verify using the customer's data to say, yes, I am who I say that I am, and I can complete this. We heard from them that this is one of their CISO's top pain points of, hey, we can't verify these people, but also if we can solve this, that's key. And so if you're working with security professionals, CISOs, and that's a big concern. Just utilizing this intersection of technology and the human aspect to utilize a tool like Zappix or Vee24 to make sure that we can understand, hey, we're talking to the right person at the right moment. Yes, we can share this additional data and hopefully lead to that happy ending. Awesome. I think lastly, and then we can wrap up here, another one of the questions that came in is looking at common pitfalls to avoid when implementing AI. So Bob, I've got a few thoughts. I don't know if you want to kick it off, and then I can close it out with a few things we're seeing as well.
Yeah. So, number one is kind of repeating what I had mentioned about, kicking off some of these tools a little too fast, right, and not fully mapping them out. Accordingly, right? I mean, that's a big pitfall is like, okay, we see Gen AI, we see it's going to work here. Let's roll it out, but then not realizing the bigger picture, all the different systems and from an actual customer journey that they've not actually delivering across, what a customer would expect from their overall journeys, right? So I think that's a big pitfall that business have to be careful about if they rush too quickly and don't implement it from an operational perspective and from a product perspective. That kind of leads into the flip side is they also have to be ready for things, how would they advance so quickly. So it's not just build it, launch it, okay, and the finance team says, okay, we spent this amount of money, there's your budget for the year, and then the operational team is just trying to make it work. They have to be adaptive to realize that in 2 months, all of a sudden the technology may have already advanced, that they're missing out on new things, right? So again, some pitfalls to avoid is to make sure you're ready and future-proof, right, and ready to adapt, right, from the organization, from the human perspective, from the tech, et cetera, right? So those are kind of two big items.
Yeah. I think to add on to that, a key thing that we see is folks tried to DIY it at first. Like companies started to like, hey, we think we can do this. We're going to start to implement, not even to just, toot Vee24 and Zappix's horn, but like we put a lot of time and effort as professionals in this space to make sure we're staying on top of those latest trends, to be working with partners like Zappix to make sure we're bringing forth future-proofed and current solutions. And so I think just having a trusted partner, whether you meet at a conference or via things like this, but being able to have that partner to talk through, iterate with, help bring potential different solutions, I think goes a long way. Again, nothing wrong with having a DIY homegrown solution, but just making sure that you're having trusted professionals and partners that can make sure, hey, this is the proper balance, you're using the right tools. So I think that's key. And I think lastly, it's, again, asking your customers what they want. I think that's a key thing that gets missed often, is making sure that you have touch points throughout your planning for a new CX or PX journey, that you're asking your customers, whether it's within a flow that they're going through, whether it's reactive kind of CSAT type things, bringing their human voice into your planning. A lot of times we can assume looking at data that we know what they want, but again, asking that question can go a long way. They feel a part of your process and hopefully are more likely to come back. So excellent. Well, Bob, really appreciate partnering with you on this today. We really hope you all got a lot out of it and this really timely topic. Definitely recommend connecting with us, whether on LinkedIn, head to vee24.com or zappix.com. You'll be seeing a lot more from this partnership in the coming weeks and months. We're really excited to be partnering with the team at Zappix. And please reach out to Bob or I or anyone on our team for additional questions following this webinar.
Thanks, Mike.
And has a great day.